going live. Cue the music. Hello everyone, I'm Dan Lutz and welcome to the FrontLines and the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. And it's another day in this battle. It keeps getting more interesting. We're seeing Trump is now calling out the deep state in ways that he's never done it before. We're seeing that there is a, kind of starting the closing of the trap, I would say, from in these press conferences. He's slamming down the reporters very succinctly, and he's really just driving home that the media itself is not to be trusted. I mean, in a way that's really remarkable. So there is a lot going on there. I'm not going to get too deep into anything along those lines because we have a very pressing matter because of the race war, the black against brown cows. The cows, there's a problem with the cows. Which cows are good and which cows are bad. And so we're going to really cover that today. Because we could, dive in on all these other things, but we have to take care of some of the other important matters. So let me say I have Lazaro on with me today. I'm going to go ahead and unmute him. I'm playing with a version because I've been playing with how to make the studio session happen properly, and Zoom was giving a lot of problems and chewing up so much of the resources of the computer system. I had to not use it, so now I'm just using the audio from it only. So we do have Lazaro on. Say hello, Lazaro.
Hello, how you doing, everybody? Peace and love to all, and thank you all for being here today on the front. I know it's been a tough day because the energies have been off the charts. Again, we seem to have been hit twice in a row, 2 days in a row with the energies from the planet's resonance. So that means there's definitely some real turmoil things about to happen. So it's a good indication of it. But besides that, we're here to talk about other kinds of race wars that we're having on the planet.
Yes.
I guess.
Now, we were discussing this earlier today while we were talking about the Schumann's frequencies and how we're being blasted again, a whole lot of energy flowing in. But we started talking about some of the health concerns, between, things that are happening to us from this pharmaceutical angle. And there is a very interesting angle to this that we have to address. Since Trump took a big shot against the pharmaceutical industry and reducing the way that which all this money was flowing into their hands.
Oh,
and
yes, yes.
and Lazaro clued me into some things that I wasn't aware of really about how Obama had restructured things to make certain things happen, and how that ties in back into the cows. And so, Lazaro, it's a
Well,
little.
it seems how in India they considered the brown cow a sacred cow, and it's because of some of the intricate healing qualities the milk has from particularly an ancestral brown cow. It's originally considered the dairy cow by many cultures, but for some reason it has been destituted from being the dairy cow by particularly several groups and organizations, CCP, without saying their name too loud. um, yes, the communist, the
Chinese
CCP,
Communist Party.
Communist Party, is definitely involved in it because one of the main instigators. I'll give you a test. After this, you'll be able to see how the whole picture flows and how the energies flow around food and the industry and stuff. One of the main things I knew, particularly, and this is even before I even got into realizing Nasser, Jassera, then realizing that wasn't real, and then going into Frontline and staying here. But before all that happened, I knew that when Obama got into power and before he left, that he was going to establish, he took the seven most lethalist deaths in the United States, I guess cancer being the first, heart attacks, diabetes, all the way down the line, the most serious illnesses, and he labeled them particularly by the FDA that you cannot administer a cure for it unless you have it particularly attached to a drug, which is one of the biggest fallacies that exist in the drug pharmacy.
So in other words, you're saying there is no disease unless there's already a pharmaceutical to treat it.
Exactly. Like if you right now say, I can cure, let's say, my finger twinkling. If you don't have a drug saying that it can cure that twinkling finger, you can't say with anything else, say that you can cure it with it. You can't say, well, I got a natural remedy that can cure the twinkling finger. You see, you can't. Yeah. You'll be arrested and jailed, and it's a felony.
So Obama did that by way of executive order, or how was that?
It's something that was established, particularly how they passed in Congress certain laws. This is when Obama and the Senate and the Congress, they were in cahoots with this. Because what happened is there were the seven deadliest illnesses. He banned it from getting any kind of cure other than pharmacy. Then he installed the one who regulated the whole thing was Bias, because he was from the pharmaceutical company and installed in the FDA to regulate the big pharma. So, and was paid by the big pharma to do their biddings. So this gentleman was installed, and obviously he regulated to make sure that no one in the United States could come say that they have a cure for cancer, let's say, other than the big pharma. Because what they do is they come out with a drug and say it cures this, and voila, they can say that, and there's no law broken. So a normal person couldn't do that because no one got 13, what is it? I think it was 13 or 3 or 4 billions dollars just to start. So let's say a drug comes out, and I'm going into a little detail so you understand how complex he made it happen. Let's say a drug does come out, and then the drug is approved, and it costs them 10, let's say 10, like 3 billion. Even if the drug doesn't work, they get it out and it's approved, everybody starts taking and all that. Let's say in 5 years it comes back that the drug doesn't work and people are suing the company. The company would have made already, let's say, $15 billion off the drug. And then these people coming back are only going to take several million. So it's a good business to make a drug, have it fail, and then collect the 15 billion and just pay off the poor Americans that are dying from the drug that doesn't work. So that's the first thing that happens. With that in mind, it's a kind of social engineering that's being done with the big pharma, which one has to be aware that's happening. So in other words, people know about Royal Rife. You remember Royal Rife, Dan?
Well, hang on a second. So, in other words, you create the problem and then present the solution.
That's the way they work. Yes.
Yeah. So the problem in this case is there's no one can come out with a cure except for the pharmaceutical industries, right? And then when they come out with it, it is the problem, right? It's not doing the job. And the solution is because they've rigged it, they make all the money off of this thing that doesn't work. So is anyone getting more healthy? Does the society get more healthy? No, it gets sicker. So
I'll give you an example. Yeah, I'll give you an example of one drug that they've done it with, and right now they're suing. The first AIDS drugs that came out was a dud. The second one worked. So what they did is they sat on the second drug that they knew for 10 years until they made 10 to 15 billion dollars profit on the first drug. Then they released, after 10 years, the drug that really worked, did something for AIDS, which was basically an immuno-assisting drug that suppresses the T cells. So that really, in fact, it works against the same drug that works for the AIDS can be used also for the COVID-19. But don't be telling anybody that. Because there's components of AIDS inside the COVID-19 that actually the AIDS remedy will actually work. So the people getting that
don't tell anybody that.
Yeah. So the legal disclaimer: this is all, but this is all fact. You can look this up online. I'm not saying anything that's already there.
Legal disclaimer that this is all fact. I got it.
Yeah. So that's an example. So how many people died for 10 years thinking they had the cure for AIDS and they were going to be okay, and that died? They paid for the money. They made 10 to 15 billion dollars. The big pharma. So who lost? The people lost. The patriots, the Americans lost because they don't know any better. So then what's protecting us now? Nothing is protecting us. This has to change. So this is why it has to come to the front lines. We're bringing it today to the front lines so that people will know what the big pharma is doing, because Trump is bringing it to the front line. The big pharma has their own personal army. They have their own ninjas. They have their own people that particularly tackle and attend each individual group or person or company. I'll give you another example, which we were talking today with Dan. I was talking with Dan about. They started attacking all the dairy industries. And here we go with the cow situation. They attacked all the dairy companies that were using the brown cow that were producing grass-fed cheeses, grass-fed milk, no grains. So in other words, it was nice A2 milk.
So what does A2? What does A2 mean?
Well, there is several types of milks that are on the market. One of them is the lactose milk, which is they push it as A1, and then there's the A2 milk, which is particularly from a specific cow in the brown cow variety, which the New Jersey cows are basically in America. Those are the brown cows. So that's why the New Jersey is where they come from. If you ever go to the youth fair, go and see the brown cows, and you'll see that they're New Jersey cows. They're beautiful. They're so docile, and they're very. This is why they have such an abundant energy in the milk. First of all, they chew the cud. They gotta room the ground. You can't be feeding them corn and grains and all that. Those cows don't eat that. They have 4 stomachs to chew the cud. What happens when you take a cow and you don't give it its ability to chew cud? Are you going to have milk that's clean and pure and healthy? No. If you take a brown cow and you don't let it chew cud, what's going to happen is that brown cow is going to give you sick milk. And then the variety of the black cow, which is not Daisy brown cows, New Jersey cows, they're black, which means the white and the black ones, not the white and brown, the white and black ones. Those are Angus type of cows. They're not for milk. Yet, if you go now to Walmart, all you see on their displays is brown cow for their butters, for their milks, and they just now started to do the organic variety in a separate cooler. But they don't have any of the butters. They're very expensive, and you got to really look hard. So they push, the Walmart brand is all black cow, black and white. So you know what they're pushing. So if you go now to Publix, it's the same thing. You can find, there's like an Amish butter, which is made from the way the Amish do. They chew the cud and they're brown cows. So that's very healthy. Anything you can get from the Amish, because they use they use brown cows for the milk, and the only thing that the Amish can use the milk for is to make cheese. So any kind of cheese that's Amish or butter made from it, they're allowed to do it, because once they transport in their vehicle, with the horse and carriage, they're not allowed to make the salad as milk. So you won't find anywhere Amish milk, but you will find butter and cheeses. So those are good, and they allow them to chew cud. But as far as Borden is another company that'll give you the brown cow, but it depends on where they buy it from, if it's been chewing the cud or not. Which means, the grass. They got to room the grass and eat the grass.
And the cows are built for eating grass, not for eating grains.
And the chickens are too, built for pecking the soil, not for eating corn and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not neither the cow, neither the chicken, and I would even say not even the pig are supposed to eat corn or like whole wheat. Not supposed to. And what's the first thing that they give them? They give them those things. So and then horses don't eat that either. Horses chew and certain grasses, because there's certain grasses horses eat that. They used to call it loco weed. They couldn't eat certain weeds because it would make the horse crazy. So yeah, there's certain weeds that they couldn't eat. So yeah, the horses know what to eat and all that, but you can't feed it. So what does America do? We've been feeding for over 50 years corn and they're not non-GMO. They're GMO corn. genetically modified corn, engineered to make anybody sick off of the corn. And then what's the second thing they do? Is they add the grains, the wheat, that are genetically modified too. So now we're eating genetically modified wheat, genetically modified corn, giving it to our cow and chicken, and they're eating it. And then we're using the milk from the wrong way of eating the cow and black and white. It's just a whole recipe for
I'm sorry,
illnesses.
the last part didn't get black and white.
Yeah, black and white, yeah.
Black and white
so
what?
The whole recipe is a recipe for social engineering to make everybody dependent on the big pharma. And guess when this started to happen? And then right at around 1970, the engineering of the foods. Right at that time. And I found that through studies, you can find that it started right there. They started engineering everybody to eating the junk foods, the hamburgers, the hot dogs. So like, if you eat like an Angus burger, and you eat one that's been grain-fed and all that, that meat is toxic. So you can eat Angus meat, but you gotta eat it from a cow that chews the cud.
That's grass-fed.
And then like chicken need to be free roaming. You not grain-fed. So they do sell in the market, which I buy, grain-fed chicken and free roaming grain-fed chicken. They're frozen pieces of breast. I buy them and I eat them. Totally different. And I've gone to if you go to Whole Foods, you can buy a variety of certain farms in the U.S. that do have they chew the cud, and they have the cows, they do them no antibiotics, and they treat them humanely. So it's just a matter of how far you want to go with this. And so if you right now go to, let's say, Publix or Walmart and you go to the meat department, 100% that all those meats there, they never chewed the cud. And if you try to eat any one of those things, you're just inviting yourself to a future heart attack, diseases, cancer, you name it. Because one of the biggest things that drinking black cow milk does is been linked in studies, which is verifiable. This is not even from my mouth. Is diabetes. So, if anybody has diabetes, chances are you got it from black cow. Drinking black cow milk, black cow butter.
And of course, we
really don't. If you ever ate pizza.
Of course, we really don't know when we're looking at this. Go to the market and you see milk. It doesn't say black cow, brown cow, right? So
it's innocent. You're innocent because how many people have gone to the Pizza Hut, Domino's, and gotten a pizza? You think that's brown cow cheese? No.
Well,
how many pizzas are served in America?
This is yeah, really.
Millions, huh?
One of the things that I noticed for a long, long time is like when I was very young in Pennsylvania, eating pizza, right, or that the cheese, the mozzarella was amazing, right? But at a certain point, it became very bland and really just didn't have much flavor whatsoever. And then there was all these other fake cheeses that came out. So, I really do love cheese. I always have. Now in the Philippines, I was telling Lazaro here that I don't really get much good cheese, man, because mostly here there's a World War II mentality for food goods because they're all canned or dehydrated. Everything, like getting fresh coffee, you just don't find it. It's always instant. Getting of course there are Starbucks and things like that around here, but do have beans.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of things.
But the other things like cheese and things are all processed. Everything, anything that sits on the shelf, right? It's like my wife will buy boxed milk, right? And and she likes to drink this boxed milk. And I said, well, I try it. And I said, I don't like it. I'd rather have.
I found,
I get powdered milk from Anchor, which is which is from New Zealand, right? And so, but I don't know.
There's brown cow box milk. There's brown cow box milk.
Now we're not talking. We're not talking about chocolate milk, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
No. So.
Borden's has it here. Borden's has the chocolate milk from the dairy cows. Yeah. They do have it. They have it here.
Well, I do remember Borden as a brand, and seeing the milk would come in actually a glass bottle with a red-faced cow on the, and maybe they meant it to be brown, but it looked more red. So.
I think if you focus on drinking and eating Borden, you eliminate the factor of the main important factor is which you start removing all the illnesses that's going to put you dependent on the pharmaceuticals.
Well, let me.
This is very important. Listen to this.
Okay.
If you drink and eat with a brown cow, not necessarily the meat. The meat is different. It's the ingestion of the milk. Then you remove the pharma industry from your life and their products to remedy the situation that's created by drinking the black cow milk. Wow. That's exactly what this is.
You're saying that the brown cow milk is a cure for the pharmaceuticals that we take?
Exactly.
Well, that's amazing.
Now you can't say that and declare that because
you can't say that. I just repeated what you said.
I'm saying it now because it's been studied already and said by many doctors. But they don't like the doctors to say it. You start telling people to drink brown cow to heal yourself from diabetes, you're going to lose your license because you'll be kicked out of the society. Because remember, that's what Dan is talking about. We're talking about a pyramid of elite society.
Right.
Where each of these people are in an infrastructure. This is what we're talking when we're looking at the big pharma. We're not looking at one individual person. We're looking at a conglomerate group of people that are struggling to reach with greed. It's like the movie Addams Family. The book they pull out to go to the riches in the house that slides the books, and they go to the chamber where they pull the chain. The book is called Greed. Why is it greed? And they're telling us to our face. Yeah. This whole system runs on greed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the biggest thing, and I wanted to go into with the farm industry, they actually attacked all the dairy farms that were producing milk from the cud and the cheeses from it. And they started cutting them out, the FDA attacking them. There was one particular one that I watched, and within 1 year, they literally closed it down. And they were, no matter what they did, they were to the very last day milking the cows. And they literally had to stop. They couldn't produce the cheese, the milk, and all the dairy stuff made healthy that would heal the people, not get them sick like the black cow milk does.
Well, did they do something to create the black cow, or is this just a natural thing that the black cow just wasn't good for?
It's a natural. Okay. You're touching something very delicate. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Well, it's a very nice rabbit hole.
I can guarantee you that the breed of black and white is not a coincidence, and that it doesn't produce the A2 milk.
So you mean the cow that's black and white?
Doesn't produce the enzyme that you need to digest the milk and to heal you and keep you healthy.
What about just white cows?
It would be depending upon the variety.
Well, I mean,
it has to do with
I've seen
the pigment of the skin.
Okay, so
the melanin. Yeah.
So the cows here in the Philippines, I can't say that they're actually brown, but they're kind of beige, right?
Yeah, those cows, I'm pretty sure that they're dairy cows. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
throughout
also
the whole
relative.
World, it's dairy.
And they eat grass. I mean, they tie them up in the area that vegetation here is on overdrive. Things grow 20 feet in a year.
I wouldn't doubt,
right? And
for one instant, that the black and white cow was genetically modified.
Yeah.
And it was strategically placed in to the industry and to create
illness.
The illness and the deficiency of that enzyme.
Yeah.
Because the one cow not have the enzyme and the other have it is not a coincidence. That doesn't happen in nature.
So, because we have an industry of death here, right? So the
it's
pharmaceutical industry
indicative of
is
a planning effort, an engineering effort.
Yeah.
What I call social engineering, to engineer us to be dependent upon the farm. We're talking 50 years, Dan. 50 years that the food has been engineered so that and there's another important factor which I'm going to go into now about the cows that has to do with the milk, but is one other item, and it's not talked about nowhere, and it's important, and it needs to be addressed by a lot of it's addressed in some of the diets like the keto and the protein diet. They address it indirectly because there's only one other doctor that does it directly head on. He's a Seventh-day Adventist. The guy, I won't say his name, but he's the gentleman who had the most heart surgeries on the planet. Did the most. And was the head of cardiologist for Loma Linda and was the one involved in the artificial heart and the guy that did that artificial heart transplant and all that kind of stuff. He was involved in it. But this gentleman was the one that came forward and decided to blew the cap on this particular thing. But as far as to finish with the cows, yes, to not go down that rabbit hole, yeah, you can't have a whole industry of black and white that the milk and use their milk and their butter made from the milk and the cheese is made from the milk and all of a sudden put it in all the products in the nation and say that's a coincidence.
Yeah. No.
Why wasn't the dairy cow, which is the standard for industry throughout I'm talking since Egypt, the brown cow.
Yeah.
This is not. Well, you want milk? You got a brown cow.
Well, I want to
brown and white cow. A white cow, a beige cow, whatever you want to call it. So you don't have a black and white.
Well, we were discussing the little side track here, right? Because we're talking about how it's a death cult, right? The deep state is a death cult. It wants to create death. Why? Because they want to reduce the population. Why? Because too big of a population, we can actually oust them. And that's actually what we're about to do, right? And because of that, they want to convince the world that the best thing to do would be to reduce the world population because we're just too overpopulated, this whole idea. And they make arguments that are not scientific, though they claim that they are. but they come on a false premise. For example, we've got too much CO2. I read yesterday about the World Economic Forum, and they're going to do this new effort, right, to make a global reset. And this global reset will be restructuring the world in their ideas. And they talked about, like carbonizing things was a problem. We have to decarbonize. No, we don't need to decarbonize. We actually need to increase the carbon dioxide output so that we actually have more oxygen on the planet. Not more CO2, but it will be consumed by the plants and create more oxygen. Why do they want to reduce our oxygen? Our oxygen has already been reduced, not because we're creating carbon. It's other factors that have been reducing the oxygen. So they want to reduce the CO2s to reduce the oxygen. Why? It's not healthy for us. It's in order. Everything is justified under their Agenda 21, or now it's 2030, because, hey, they missed the mark, right? They weren't going to be able to eliminate all the population, even though, hey, they're giving it a shot with the vaccines. Everything is justified for their purpose of reducing the world population. So they can have a pharmaceutical industry that's set up to create death, to extract our wealth as we get older, for paying for medications that are more and more expensive until there's nothing left, right? So even inheritances are wiped out by the pharmaceutical industry, right? And so this system is meant to create death. They do it in the food industry by creating so many bad foods for us. Why all this stuff about how suddenly did wheat? I know we have some issues with wheat and grains and that, but why all of a sudden did everyone start getting leaky gut syndrome? Why were they also all of a sudden gluten intolerant? Right? What happened? Well, it had nothing to do with the wheat in particular.
Yes.
It had
That's
to do.
the topic I wanted to talk about.
Well, we're getting right to it. So
the milk is.
Well, it's the Roundup, right? What they were spraying on it. It would basically kill the plant with poison, a plant poison, right? And they would do it to make it easier to harvest the grains of wheat.
Go more sinister, Dan. They genetically injected the Roundup molecule for the plant to produce it itself now.
Yes.
It doesn't need the Roundup spray.
Yeah. Doesn't need the spray anymore because it's included now. Yeah. So no batteries included. Yeah. So now we have.
Oh my God.
But now you can't even eat it. So. I was never a very big bread fan. I mean, I enjoyed it here and there, but I didn't have it with every meal. In fact, it would be more like maybe once every couple weeks. It would be more like it was at the dinner I was at, and I would add like.
It's not directly the bread. I can give you today. I can tell everybody how they can eat and remove the lectin easily.
Well, what I was going to
point out. It's not that difficult.
What I was going to point out was that my ex-wife actually became a bread fiend, right? And she just couldn't stop eating bread, and she gained so much weight, and she was so unhealthy, and so many bad things were happening to her, right? But all because she literally became addicted to the bread, right? And all of these things, the leaky gut syndrome, all this other kind of stuff that came out of glucose intolerant. She became glucose intolerant, right? But she still ate the bread. Right? And so where did this all come from? It was engineered to be bad. Now, nobody had this disease 30 years ago. Why did it just start happening? Well, now we know. The Roundup was the reason why that they were doing this. Now they've included it into the wheat itself. So now if you get only seeds from them, that these seeds won't reproduce any other way. If it's found growing in the farmer's fields, they're fined for basically breaking their patent or stealing or whatever because they didn't buy the seed from them. But hey, it just happened to spread into their field, right? From it's in the pollen in the air. But they're snuffing out the small farmer so that they can control the whole food production line. So this is a very deep, very wide, deep state. that is attacking the world for the benefit of the few. So we are going after them, right? But we have to know where all the battles are, and we have to basically remove those people that are in these positions of power that have been changing the world for their betterment, for their increasing their wealth.
Yes. We have the diet, the basic thing that the cow, to have good A2 milk, is first the cow can't have any grains and he can't have any whole wheat. And I'm gonna go biblical on you guys, because when Nebuchadnezzar had that vision, and it was 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of famine, and then David told him the vision, what it was, and then he said, "Okay, David, you're gonna collect the grain for us." And when he collected the grain was always split, always, and the chaff was thrown away. In fact, there's even verses in the scripture where the chaff is separated from the wheat.
Why? Why might you want to separate it from the wheat?
Because we're not supposed to eat the whole wheat.
Why?
Never. You're inviting your gut to have all kinds of illness. This is the engineering we got in the 70s, the hippies movement, which was engineered because the first thing they did was, no, we got to have everything whole. The whole wheat, the whole grain, the whole everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I know.
Then,
I mean, when it's now everything that we. Okay, my favorite bread when I was a young kid, right, was Wonder Bread. The whitest, fluffiest stuff, right? My favorite sandwich was butter.
That's the more healthier bread.
Yeah,
if
butter
you want to
with,
believe it or not.
Yeah, butter with grape jelly in it. That was my favorite little sandwich, and then dunk it in milk. My goodness. That was my.
You probably, like I said, if you were drinking brown cow milk, and then the bread was made with white flour only, not malted barley, by the way, not oatmeal flour, not all these conglomerate flours that are added out to bread. Right now, I checked all the bread in the market. Not one of them you can eat.
What about the Ezekiel bread?
That one is made with the sprouts. It's probably one of the only ones, but they damage it by adding some crap to it. it's like the deep steak. What I always know is...
Wait a minute. You can't put that product out yet. It's too healthy. We have to make it unhealthy first. Then you can put it out on the market.
Correct. For instance, I was today at Whole Foods, and I looked at this product, and it was cookies, organic, non-GMO. I go, wow, this is good. I go through the whole list, and then all of a sudden, natural flavors. I go, oh my God.
Oh no.
Stuck baby fetuses in there. So you know what I'm saying? It's Go ahead.
No, I agree. I get it. Yeah, natural flavors. You got to watch out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, what kind of body parts are in that?
What are they doing with the poor? So there's so many factors that we got to look into, and we've been engineered. This has been happening for 50 years. They took their sweet little time, and they prepared us like little lab rats. Okay.
Yeah.
And they got us all in line like little ducks, and that at the end of the line there's a little bucket of food, and that's how they taught us.
Right. Well,
this is the food you got to eat.
Well, yeah, they think that there was remember there was the 4 square meals, the circle, and then they changed it to the pyramid, and the pyramid system was really
that's the biggest mistake
bad.
Ever. The pyramid.
I said when I first came out, I analyzed. I said I can't eat this way. I'll be 5 times the size I am, and it was like, this is ridiculous. So how can they even suggest putting that out? Then you realize it's just all about getting people to be overweight and to be
Yes,
unhealthy.
yeah.
You know, they say it's
Drink
for
the A2 milk. Stay away from whole grains. Don't eat oatmeal. Don't eat corn. Don't
like
eat
oatmeal.
barley. Don't eat quinoa. Don't eat brown rice. No. Eat white rice, but eat it the next day.
Huh?
Because you got to develop the starches. See?
No, I don't know. So no, tell me what's that all about? So eat the white rice, but eat it the next day.
Yeah, because when you cook it, the starches are half developed. So when you eat it, your body it stores it as fat, so it's not ready available energy. So what you do is you wait the next day. So you eat it. That's why the Chinese eat their rice the next day. They call it fried rice. This next day old rice. They don't eat rice the same day. The traditional ones, they cook it and then reheat it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
the other thing that I could do.
I don't know if I could convince my wife to eat the rice the next day. In fact, usually the next day they they will
I
but you know where
I eat the rice the next day. It's delicious. I make all kind. I did it. I have rice for a whole week in my fridge. I make a big old tub, and I make it with garlic, and it tastes real nice. But yeah, you can do balsamic rice.
Well, no. I mean, in general, their diet is really just the white rice, just freshly cooked, right? And they don't like to actually mix it, right? You know.
I know, but you see, that's where you come into the factor of the undeveloped starches and stuff, where it creates illnesses later on in your. So you stay with the rice. You make sure it's fully developed. No apples and bananas. We're not apes, and we're not definitely apples are too sweet, and they have undeveloped the sugars. Well, you basically don't drink any kind of juice made from fruit. So right there, you're gonna have a problem with a lot of the health freaks where they make the smoothies out of all that. Blueberries are good. Raspberries, blackberries. Stay away. Kiwi's good. Pears good. Peaches. Limes, lemons, nectarines. All those are good. The variety of tropical fruits are the sweet apple, the chirimoya, the Spanish one is mamey, which is sapote mamey, they call it in English. You can
I have durian on my table right now.
Yeah, durian's good. Like I was saying, they got a lot kind of dead. There's a lot of fruit that you can eat that's within the spectrum, but that are low lectin, which are the gut destroyers. Potato, you gotta peel it and pressure cook it. Then you disable the lectin. When green peppers, you gotta roast them and take the inside out, the seeds, and the white part, and roast it on top of fire. And remove the black part. It'll be okay.
So the seeds are not good from the peppers?
Seeds are not good in the peppers or anything, yeah.
What about tomato seeds?
Tomatoes, same thing. Blanch it. Hunt's already removes the peel. So you got to buy the Hunt's tomatoes that are whole. So when you open it, remove the seeds, you're okay. Hunt's already blanches them. So you blanch it, steam heat it for a minute or two, and then you're able to peel the outside shell of the tomato is no good, full of lectin, and then you can eat the tomato. There's like the squash family. Oh, no peanuts, no peanut butter.
Oh.
No, you can eat almond butter, sesame seed butter.
What's wrong with peanut butter? What's wrong with peanut butter?
It's the destroyer. In fact, it creates aflatoxin, which is a toxic gas in your colon, so it destroys your colon. the peanut butter. So yeah, you don't want to have peanut butter. And how much are they pushing peanut butter in the United States?
Oh, yeah.
Big time, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everybody's eating peanut butter.
What about just peanuts?
And then the natural people, they come with this all natural raw, but they come out with their version, right? This is why the vegetarians are the ones that are, and stay away from soya. No soybean. Soybean causes all kinds of hormonal issues and stuff. And most of it's all genetically modified.
So what you're saying about vegetarian?
Yeah, the staple for vegetarianism is they eat all their products have soya.
Oh, sure.
Soybean.
Well, that's not the case, say, in like India, for example. I mean, soya exists, but it's
well, they use tempeh, they use other things.
No, not in India. They don't really do that. In an average Indian household, I mean, it's rare. Soya is rare, right? It's not actually something. It's almost like
not in America.
Well, I know, I get that.
America.
No, I get it. I know what you're saying. In fact, the staple for vegetarians in India is milk.
Yeah, the brown cow. Yeah.
So this is a.
They almost worship the cow.
Well, they do worship the cow. That's a whole. That's a whole other.
Yeah. So you can say they worship it. Yeah, they.
No, they do.
The cow is sacred over there.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why it's sacred, and this is sacrilegious, I'm sure. But during the time of the Great Flood, right, the Indians were moved up into the Himalayas. After the waters receded, they came back down out of the Himalayas. Now, keep in mind that their history goes back 40,000 years in India. So it's this 10,000-year-old Earth and all this kind of stuff, and it's in the Bible or whatever. This doesn't hold up with their records, and this is charting, astrology, stars in the skies. That's where the stars were. These are the events that took place where the stars were like this. That's 40,000 years ago. So this is so their history is reflected in this. So when they came down out of the Himalayas and they needed to basically feed everybody, they planted their crops, agriculture, suddenly that technology was still there, right? I mean, it wasn't developed. It was just boom, they're doing it. They broke up into kingdoms, the Maharishi systems, right? All of the different princes and of their little territories, and they had only one beast of burden, the cow. And if they ate the cow, they wouldn't be able to feed the people because it was the only way to plow the lands. So they made it illegal. In essence, by saying religiously, we have to worship this because it feeds us. It feeds all of the people because it's the only way we can get our plants in the ground. And it provides milk. So this is. You
can't find a burger in all of India.
Yeah. Listen, I know that there's many kind of sects and things like that are in India. I've experienced them, right? I've been close to them. The Jains, for example, or the ones that they'll eat air, right? They only need air to exist. The aeritarians, right? They can. So all of these people that are not the vegans, for example, they're very unhealthy if you look at them, all right? They don't live long. They don't live into their 70s and 80s. They die in their 50s, right? And it's a religious reason that they're following. They can do what they want. That's fine, right? They can live their life, and that's very happy about that. But it's this a lot of this thing about vegetarianism where they get this moral attitude about, well, we're supposed to only be eating fruits because that's what was kind of bringing up. It's like, because we're a fruitarian. I heard that, right? Or we're not supposed to be eating animals, and it's not the case. We needed to have protein in order for us to be able to master engineering and things, that have enough brain power to support the massive brain that we have. And that doesn't come along with that. In fact, you actually start losing your ability to think clearly if you don't have enough protein. And you're not going to get it from lentils. So the things that are now the Indians, they've developed a way where they were able to, through eating the milk from the cow, to get the enzymes required and the protein required for them to think.
They were healthy, yes.
They're healthy. They're fine, right?
By the way, lentils is full of lectin.
Sure, yeah, obviously, yeah. That's another thing is, like, they clean them very well, right, to get rid of the outer skin when they do process the lentils. The dye.
Yeah, they probably do the removal of the outer skin, and so, there's a couple of things that are.
Well, I was just to say that I wanted to say this one part is, like, my personal thoughts behind vegetarianism and all this sort of stuff. Listen, it's not, if you want to eat something that way. I've known people that have done it for a long time. They end up getting sick. Their bone marrow doesn't produce enough of the certain enzyme. Their bones get so brittle that they literally break after 20 years of being on a diet such as that. And under stress, if you exercise a lot and that, you start breaking your bones, right? They get too brittle. So, but my idea about what is going on here is just like the rest of the deep state, has done. Vegetarianism has been pushed out there as a way to subdue the population of the world, to switch everyone to become a vegetarian so that you don't eat meat, so that you don't have the ability to think clearly. And since they already have you on the black and white cow, as opposed to the Jersey brown cow, and they're going to come around and they're going to say, oh, well, cows are bad for you, right? We have to get rid of the cows, right? This is ultimately the plan, so that they can then say, okay, everyone has to be vegetarian. Here, have this meatless burger made with, natural flavors, a la,
Greta Burger, whatever that's called again.
Yeah, they put the natural flavors of people in it. Fetuses.
They put blood in there, make it with blood. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is their plan ultimately, again, so that people are docile, that they don't react, that they don't rise up against them. That's all this is about. So listen, be a vegetarian if you want to be a vegetarian. But if you want to take the moral high ground, everything has to eat something else that was living. You can't eat rocks, right? So, and if you want to be so prejudiced to be against the plants, then you're only going to eat them. How rude, to ignore the animals. That's what I've got to say about that. Anyway, so we're going for about an hour.
That's a delicate topic for you. I just wanted to mention one more thing. If you're going to go on a lectin-free diet, just be aware there's many ways you can do it. Do your proper research. Make sure that you don't let your decisions be yours. There's ways that you can eat bread. There's ways you can eat you can have a good meal, you can do things, and it can be healthy, and you can stay within parameters that, acceptable to you. So do everything within the heart. That's all I ask. That's all Dan would ask of any of his family, of his children, of anybody that I know personally. I would just give them the information and let them choose. Let them walk their path. This is something very delicate because we've been engineered and bred into this. So for us to get out of it, it's going to be difficult. We're used to the Twinkie. We're used to the dung hos and the ho-hos and all these things, and we're not used to. I spend sometimes an hour kneading my dough so I can develop the glutens properly, so that I can have a lower lectin bread.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be like the French bread, which is a lot better bread to eat. So there's all kinds of things you can do to accommodate yourself. You know, sometimes you can't get the brown the milk that's not grass fed. Maybe you can just get the one that's A2. You know, and then deal with. There are herbs you can deal with. There's supplements you can deal with that help with the lectin. There is a company that sells lectin supplements, and we're not advertising for them, but there's many ways that you can deal with that with natural herbs that can heal, that can better the body and help them deal with. I'll give you one. Chondroitin works good with bread. If you eat bread, you got issues with bread, take chondroitin. For some reason, that works on that lectin.
Okay.
Because just so you know, it's been studied. This is research. Well, I'm not telling you out of me. It's been studied meticulously and it's documented. All this that we're saying today, me and Dan been telling you, you can find it on the internet. We're not inventing any of this. Okay, it's just that we've been social engineered, and it's been suppressed from.
Well, I'm doing a little bit of dot connecting along the way here, right? Because there's some things I just don't have proof for. But you know, I could weigh it, like, for example, I think vegetarian is a deep state plot. You know, so pointing at one thing or another, you know, is very difficult, right? It's all subjective. There's anecdotal evidence. It's more, you know, this is the time in which we can look at the whole, and we can see whether it's the pharmaceutical industry or the food industry or the healthcare industry, that there is a plan here to not allow us to be healthy, right? It's on purpose, right? And we can see it play out in the con job 19 that's happening. We can see that everything that they're doing is all about getting false information out. Wear a mask, you know, social distance. But the countries that didn't do that, there's no difference in the death rate, right? It's just very low death rates. In fact, you know, it's just itself is a fake. Now we find out that the reason why all these countries, such as the Philippines, has 140,000 people dead from COVID is because they lied about it. Why did they lie? They're getting paid $55,000 per head by the World Bank, IMF, UN. If you follow the guidelines of the WHO, and you basically do the social distancing and keep the people wearing masks, and you follow all these guidelines, we will give you a recovery package based upon how many people die. And then a print shop in Quezon City here gets busted for printing fake death certificates. From the very first day of the lockdown here in the Philippines, the virus could not exist because it was 80 degrees. The half-life is 1.5 minutes at 72 degrees. At 80, it just got hotter, right? And more humid. Can't exist. Can't be here. Never has there been a flu season in the Philippines. Suddenly, there's a flu season in the Philippines. In the hottest areas of the planet, cannot be. So this is we tell that they're lying to us about everything. So now we have to really take this down and realize everything they've been telling us is a lie. Everything. And we got to replace these people. We got to get them out across the board, every industry. So, well, let's break there, Lazaro. I want to just tell people that we've been.
Thank you, Dan.
We've been working on trying to establish ourselves, say, in the assemblies, I'm going to point you to something here on the Life Force. This is the web page, but it is from the app, right? So I'm viewing it from the web page. Let me show this to you. So we're organizing, right? So here is the Life Force, and I got here from, again, as I said, it's by through the app. I got to the web page version of this. So here it is, and I'm responding in the California Assembly Force. There's 16 people here. We need to start getting people organized. Right, you need to join the assemblies. Come into Life Force. There's many groups in here. There's stories and social media that's going. So if you go to the lifeforce.global, you're going to get to where you can install the app, and then you can basically join and have groups. So there's articles that are appearing in here. Please do get involved, especially in the assemblies. This is something that's going to be very, very important to know what's going on. All right, and if I go and look at what I have, a New York Assembly meeting there. So I signed up for the Assembly for California. Even though I'm here, I had a big battle in California dealing with the government there. I know how corrupt it is. I basically had to turn, I spoke at the LA City Council for 3 months, a couple times a week, trying to get some sensible regulation for the medical marijuana dispensaries. And that basically I found out was a complete farce, and that they were being paid by the alcohol industry and to some extent the pharmaceutical industry. Those words were spoken by Bill Rosenthal, one of the councilmen at that time, and he said that they were paying off the council to basically stop it right there. It didn't happen. We stood up and we made a difference. We made it change. Now, whether you don't agree with the medical marijuana or marijuana in general, just keep in mind that this was something voted on by the people, and we said we want this, and they fought it tooth and nail. Now, I ended up winning in court and basically helped maintain everything go across. Anyway, I put a little bit of a response in the chat here. So please join, especially if you're in California, get into the California Assembly, and then let's see if we can make a difference there. And let's see. Oh, and then also, United News Channel. I haven't checked it out. So we'll check it out maybe tomorrow. But for now, please let's get moving. We have a lot to do. Also, thank you for those people that are helping with donations. It is very much needed. Please do what you can. PayPal, or if you need to do anything other by, say, Western Union or MoneyGram, those are also options. Just contact me, send me an email, and we'll start from there. Anything, again, that you think that you need to do, or things you want to report on, take the effort to do a report, put it up. It's okay that you have no views as of yet, right? But start pushing it out and start marketing it by getting into the hands of other people and say, please pass this around. And just start practicing, start getting your voice out there. We need that. So I guess that's good for today, and we will come back tomorrow. I am thinking, though, I might be taking, instead of doing these all 7 days a week, maybe I might take the weekends off per se, or maybe at least one day, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But I will be back shortly. All right. Again, Lazaro, thanks.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.